Wayfinder is an action MMO game that went into early access on August 17th. So this game was actually on my radar since PAX East 2023. There was a demo set up. You really couldn't record too much in there, but I was able to play the game with some of the devs, or at least I think they were the devs. They were really excited about Wayfinder, so it was a blast to play with them. You go through the world with your character, you use their abilities to fight enemies, you go through dungeons, you get loot, but in spite of it being a game that is much like a lot of other games out there, Wayfinder is standing out to me for some reason. It could be because the game is fun to play, it could be because the animations and the graphics are all very vibrant and alive, but the game is having a bit of a rough start with its early access launch. The login queues for this game were long, and I kept on finding ways to accidentally cancel myself out of the queue, and we're not going to focus on the launch or the server issues. I have a feeling that the Wayfinder team didn't expect this much attention on the game, because honestly their marketing was steady and happening, but it wasn't this big game that had like a lot of attention around it. However, there seems to be a lot of people who want to play it. Anyway, let's talk about what it's like to actually play Wayfinder. Right now, you can only choose from one of 3 characters, although I think you can pay for other characters with the other Founders Packs. I got the $50 Founders Pack. That seemed like the right price for me. I started off with the Shotgun Guy Silo, which is pretty cool. I enjoyed that for a bit until I tried to change characters, and then it kicked me back to the front of the queue again. But when I got back into the game, I tried Nis instead, who is the melee 2-sword attack character. She's clearly the ninja or the hunter of the 3 right now, so I thought that'd be fun to just play as a hack and slash character and see where that got me. So you get through the tutorial and then you wind up in the main world, the hub world, and then you're given a lot of exposition, a lot of reasons as to why what you're doing is important. But eventually the game lets you run around on your own, and that's when you can go explore areas, you can go find dungeons, you can take on some side quests, and all sorts of other things that I have not yet done. And usually when you think of an MMO, you don't think of a casual experience. You don't think of a game that you can just pick up and play. Usually there's like, oh, you have to get caught up on all the seasons and all the expansions, and you have to level your character up, and you gotta grind and grind. Wayfinder doesn't seem too interested on making you grind to enjoy its content. The dungeons in this game are very fast engagements. You're not in there for too long, you're exploring, you're finding items, you're finding loot, and you're fighting enemies. Dungeons usually have a boss at the end. Some dungeons exist solely to give you a boss fight, but regardless, they were very nice and encapsulated experiences. Besides the dungeons, the game has some very typical fetch quests, which are made more fun by the fact that the combat is pretty fun. Not only can you dodge and block attacks, but you can also parry them, which is not something you typically see in an online MMO. I'm not sure why this particular function made me excited. I think I just like the concept of timing parries in video games, and this is that. A little lightning bolt appears over their head, and you hit the block button, and wham, you got a parry, and you get rewarded, and you can attack enemies for extra damage. These kinds of things that make it feel fun in a moment start to add up, and you start to realize like this game is enjoyable. I could see all sorts of people playing this kind of game because it opens the door to that kind of enjoyment. But the problem with games like this is that they're immediately compared to each other. Everyone's going to be asking, is this the next Destiny 2? Is this the next online phenomenon like Fortnite? Is this the game that's going to take hold? The simple answer is no, because those games are their own thing. But it is worth wondering what that energy is. Like you look at a game like this and you think, oh, everyone's going to make this like their hobby. People are going to make their entire content creation careers around it. And it's true. I think we can all agree games like Destiny and World of Warcraft and Fortnite have that lasting power that every game like Wayfinder wants to achieve. I do think that Wayfinder has a good balance of the player versus environment enjoyment while also putting people in a group together and just having fun. Because that's one element that all of those other games do have a problem balancing, and that's the casual enjoyment. I've always had this daydream of an online RPG that could be casual enough to hop in and out of, but also that same casual player could just decide to do a raid one day, a big experience that requires a little more effort and time. Destiny offers some level of that. There is a fair amount of raid prep that I've done over the years that have given me all the gear that I have, which kind of takes away from the point of it being casual, because that is not casual. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if Wayfinder is planning on doing this, but this is just the feeling I get. The game seems to have an admiration for the casual player, respecting the time, understanding that you can't play for hours at a time, but also leaving that ability there in case you do have a long weekend where you want to do something with your friends and plan an activity. Overall, I'm really excited to see where this one goes. You know, I mean, a lot of these games exist. They have their battle passes and they have their time in the sun, and I know Wayfinder servers are going to eventually chill out, and that's when I'll be able to just pick it up and try it without having to wait an hour or 3. to play it. It could be that this is one of the few fun online RPGs that also don't take a lot of time to get into. But we're gonna have to see how things go. The developers for this game are very forward with how much they're listening to the community, so I think that's gonna be really important as Wayfinder develops further. I am invested in the game because I think that the team cares about it a lot, and it seems like a good time. It's the kind of game that I can see myself enjoying. It's the kind of game that I have already enjoyed, so I'm happy to have a Founders Pack, but I'm also excited to see where things go from here. Let me know in the comments. I'm excited to talk about this kind of thing because there's something really special about a game that can gather people in a way that feels fun and exciting. Make sure you like the video if you like the video, and if you really like this video, you want to see more stuff like this, maybe a couple more coffin montages, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I was originally going to make this a little more like a review, but I think in the light of how the game's in early access and I've only had a couple of hours with it, I decided to keep things a little more casual and make myself a cup of coffee with my Game Grumps mug. So I desperately needed at least this much coffee this morning because I was up late trying to play this game last night. And if you want to catch some streams, make sure your notifications are on. I'm going to start playing Control probably the night that this video goes up. And if you're interested in Wayfinder, make sure you look it up and wishlist it or buy a Founders Pack and try out the early access if you can log in. And other than that, I will see you in the next video.